GeekyKOOL presents The Professor and Ace, episode 15. Hey guys, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents. I am the Professor, also known as Larry. Down below is AJ, or as we like to call her, Ace. And by the way, those who don't know the reference, don't know the Doctor Who part, that is a Doctor Who reference. And over here, this is Gary from Popculture Minefield.
Hello.
About him, so.
Oh, the glove. I need to take it off. I do my artwork, digital artwork with the glove.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
I don't need it now.
So we also have Keith going to be joining us from Popculture Minefield. He had to pop out for a moment. He'll be back, but we're back for another episode 15. I'm back in my son's room. As you can see, the bunk beds here. I'm trying things out. We're going to have to figure out where a good studio is for me, but we're going to talk about some of our favorite movies that a lot of people don't know. Those movies that people maybe just aren't as familiar with today. And we got a couple of guys with us that know a bunch of those.
Right. So, Professor, I'm not going to lie. I did not do enough research for this topic. I do have some that are just off the top of my head. I could probably name off like 5 or 6 just off the top of my head. I started my new job today, so I've been kind of really busy getting that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
How did it go, by the way? How's the new job?
Good. I'm kind of tired.
Sure.
And, but I think it's going to go well. I think I'm going to be a good fit. It's a bookstore, and it's me, so
yeah.
Can't go wrong with me at a bookstore.
I agree. That is a good fit for you there.
They were talking about how many books do you read a month, and I was like, I don't know. I read about 10 to 20 a week, and they're like, no.
So, it's true.
I know.
You're a book fanatic, which is awesome. So, well, we're going to get into the movie thing. So we're going to let our guest Gary here share one of those movies that people just don't realize is out there, or maybe they forgot about. Gary, tell us about
it. A lot of the films I'm going to be talking about are from Empire Entertainment and Full Moon Pictures, because those films, just because they're low budget to begin with, kind of fall through the cracks.
Right.
They have a cult following, but you notice that a lot of those films that I like from the 80s aren't available in the standard way. You can't just like hop on Amazon and buy it. And of course, the top one on the list is, and I wish Keith was here for this, because he and I both love this film for the same reason, that it was Full Moon Entertainment's attempt at stealing Doctor Strange. And the film was called Dr. Mordred, starring Jeffrey Combs, who is just a great B-movie star. Him and Bruce Campbell were, in my opinion, the two big B-movie stars of the 80s.
Right.
And he plays a character, Dr. Mordred, who develops mystical interdimensional powers. And it's chock full of bad effects and animation, and it's still just so much fun to watch.
So I noticed it wasn't the Doctor Strange from the late 70s, the really bad attempt at that. This is different than that. This is from the 90s, is that right?
It was an 80s film.
In the 80s film.
I think it was 89.
Okay.
And there were elements in it that borrowed from classic Doctor Strange to the more modern late 70s going into the 80s Doctor Strange. He had a relationship and all that stuff. And that was, of course, part of the plot.
Right.
With him having to deal with his powers and having a relationship.
Because you can't have a superhero without a relationship with it, right, AJ?
Well, there's always got to be that threat to his secret identity.
Right. Well, we had a long discussion about how that's not needed sometimes.
And what's that?
Comics. It isn't always needed in comics. Like, if you already have, like, every comic book doesn't need, like, but in movies, it makes sense because the storytelling is a faster pace. You don't get, like, 5 or 6 comics to get your character across, and you have to get that humanity and that stuff. So movies are a little different than comics. I do think that sometimes you don't need to force like relationships, especially romantic relationships, down people's throats. I think you can have a parent-child relationship. I think you can have friend relationships, and I think they can build just as strong, if not stronger, relationships than like his girlfriend or her boyfriend and that sort of thing. I'm jaded. What can I say? It's I mean, love's important, but you're always gonna have your kids or your friends or their relationships too that are just as important. So
Yeah, that's one of the things I think I liked about what was that film, 1990, when Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
Is that they don't actually have a relationship that way until pretty much the end of the movie. So you just see them as friends.
Well, and they hated each other. That's one of my.
Oh yeah, that too.
That is actually one of my movies on my list. Believe it or not, that was like, I loved that movie when it came out for that reason.
Oh, so it's one of your obscure films. Okay. Yeah, I get you.
It's just, I could talk to people younger than me about it. They don't get it. If you guys will excuse me a minute, though, I have an emergency.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. All right, AJ.
Everybody's bailing on us, buddy.
I know. We'll bring her back when we're available. So that's a really cool movie. I've not actually seen that, Gary, so I need to check that out. But
When Harry Met Sally, it's great.
No, not Harry. When Harry Met Sally,
Dr. Mordred. Yeah, it's one of those B movies. Don't go in with high expectations. Just sit back and enjoy. Check your brain at the door.
I watch Spenguli every week because I like the B movies. My family makes fun of me because of it, but I enjoy a good B movie if I know it's supposed to be a B movie. Sharknado was great because I knew what it was supposed to be. It was intentionally bad, and I enjoyed it for that. But
for some reason, I've not watched any of those. I can't bring myself to watch them.
The first one was good. I can't. I think I watched the second one also, but it's what it is. It's meant to be pretty spoofy. It's meant to be
right.
What was it, Saturday night on Sci-Fi, the bad B movies that they would create for Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
At one point. So, but yeah,
I grew up in Virginia watching Creature Feature with Count Gore Duvall, and he's still really popular to this day. He was played by Dick Dizelle, who was huge. I'm friends with him now. He had a huge impact on all of us in the Virginia, Washington D.C. area, and WDCA Channel 20.
There you go.
Yeah, and it was a great channel, catered to kids, and we always had the Saturday night, 11 o'clock at night, Creature Feature, and he would have. And some of them were classic movies, Dracula, Frankenstein.
Right,
but then you would get some really obscure films on it that were really entertaining. And when he showed a B movie, there were still really pretty good B movies.
Right.
And there are good B movies out there.
Oh, yeah.
And so I like that stuff. And, of course, Svengoolie is another one of those characters. There was another one when I was a kid because part of my childhood was in Phoenix. And we had a guy there that did it in Phoenix, Arizona. And that's how I got introduced to Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
His was in the afternoon. Well, it was 11 o'clock in the morning till 1. And he would show a sci-fi horror film.
Right.
And he had Doctor Who versus the Daleks.
Oh, yeah.
With Peter Cushing. And I think I was like 6. And I was terrified. Was hiding behind the sofa. Why are they talking so weird? I don't get it. They scare me. Because as you know, the sofa is a natural protector for kids.
It most definitely is. The creatures from the television can't get you behind the sofa. So, right on. I'm with you. So my first movie on my list is a Oscar award-winning movie, but doesn't get much love from people. It is Alfred Hitchcock, 1940, Rebecca.
I love that film.
That is my favorite thriller movie of all time. I love that movie.
All of his early Hitchcock films just don't get the recognition they deserve. The 39 Steps.
Yep.
The original version of the Man Who Knew Too Much.
Right.
Which he shot in England.
Right. Well, the beginning of his career was all over there, and then Rebecca was his first American film, his first
Yeah,
time he
with
did the U.S. So
what's her name, Bergman,
yes,
and I'm trying to remember, was it Cary Grant? Oh no, Peck, Gregory Peck.
Lawrence Oliver was the main guy, and Joan Fontaine was
Fontaine.
Yeah.
And I
So
got everything wrong on that one.
well, that's all right. That's okay. It's also based off a novel by the same name from Daphne de Mauritius. So, and for those who don't know, so basically, Rebecca is the story of a wife who marries a very rich man, comes to live at his mansion, and the staff love the former Mrs. who died. Her name was Rebecca. And so Rebecca is talked about through the whole movie. It's portrayed that maybe her ghost is haunting the next Mrs., but you never ever see Rebecca. So it's fascinating. They've named the movie after a character that never appears on screen.
That is interesting.
So I fell in love with this movie because this was the first time we used to have after 11 o'clock at night on Friday and Saturday nights, there was a station that would show movies late. So you could stay up instead of closing down at midnight like a lot of the stations did. It would stay on till 2 or 3 and show old movies. And Rebecca was the first thriller movie I was allowed to stay up and watch. And my mother sat there with me. So it was an introduction to kind of this movie that my mom loved, and that it was my first introduction to a thriller movie. And so that's my first memory of something like that. So, but I've gone back. It's a hard movie to find. It's really difficult to find it for a Blu-ray or to even stream. I've tried several different places to get the stream. So it's out there, but it's not going to be cheap because it's hard to find. So that is number one on my list. So a movie that won 2 Oscars, including for Best Picture, but no one remembers it. It was for Best Picture and Best Cinematography. So, and it was only what was it? It was very early on in the Oscars. So it was not, they had not been doing Oscars for very long at that point. But yeah, it's interesting when you can bring up a movie that won an Oscar for Best Picture and nobody knows what it is.
That is, and it's not the only one, because a lot of films that won Oscars just sort of over time gets forgotten.
Yeah,
and it really does suck when it happens. And I mean, it's not on my list, but it is a favorite film of mine from the late 50s. Was Montgomery Clift, Elizabeth Taylor film, Raintree County.
Okay, yeah.
And Elizabeth Taylor won an Oscar for the film,
right?
And it was nominated. Nobody remembers that film. I'll bring it up, and nobody like, what? I'm like, yeah, Montgomery Clift, Elizabeth Taylor. I know those 2 names, but what's it about? The Deep South, post-Civil War. Nothing. Fine.
I've seen it, so I'm with you there. That's a good movie. That's a very good movie. I have a soft spot for old movies like that, or old movies like that. So.
Well, I'm an old movie fan. I in fact, if you go into my computer, I have close to about 400 gigs of movies.
Wow.
And I'm not kidding. Keith's seen it. And he's like, "Oh, you really have a lot of movies." I said, "Yeah." And I like to have them, even if I don't watch them for a long time or maybe years, not watch them at all. I like to have them because one day I may want to watch them again.
It's true.
So I keep them around. I never throw movies away.
I'm with you. Well, movies are a special thing. So
yeah, and I have like classic films like Wrong Number with Barbara Stanwyck. I love classic noir thrillers in particular, and I have all of the different Philip Marlowe films, iterations, different actors playing them,
right?
And all the way up to even 1976, I think was the last one that somebody did, was with Robert Mitchum, and he was a little too old to be long in the tooth there, Robert Mitchum, to be playing a character like that. But still, I enjoy the film, and it was a remake of the version that Bogart did with Oh, what's her name? The one he married. The cute girl. I can't think of her name. I'm having an old guy. Oh, there's somebody.
We got a comment here. So, yeah, I agree. Anything with Cary Grant in that era, I agree. Cary Grant is a great actor. So.
Yeah. Cary Grant did something that a lot of actors never did. In the movie, the Front Page. Oh, there's Keith.
Hey, Keith, welcome back.
Wow. Hi, everybody.
Hey!
She should be back soon.
So, yeah, he made this movie that was meta at the time. And people just didn't do that.
Right.
Where he made jokes about the movie within the movie.
Right.
You know, there's this scene where Cary Grant is describing this person that he wants his little thug to follow and pick his pocket. And he's like, he kind of looks like Robert Bellamy type of person. Well, that's who's playing him, is Bellamy.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, and then later in the film, he says a line so quickly, the police chief says, "You can't just make somebody disappear." I did it to Archie Leach, so I can do it again. And he, of course, is Archie Leach. That's his real name. Just quick ad libs that he would throw in, and the director loved it and just kept it going.
You know, it reminds me of a lot of the stories about how the Beatles, when they made their movies, especially A Hard Day's Night and Help, and their quick wit was...
Dick Lester was the best person to work with them on that stuff.
Oh, yes.
He had come up with the British comedy TV, so he understood that off-brand wit.
Right.
It didn't work so well with Superman 2, but it worked with his other films, the Musketeer films he made, and the Beatles.
Yeah. Mr. Lester is on my permanent S list until he decides, because he's gone to the top now of my permanent S list until he decides to apologize for what he did and with Superman, because that was wrong. That was wrong in every single way. Time has proven that Richard Donner was right, and that the producers who brought him in have now reversed their thought and have changed their minds and look upon everything a little differently. Superman 2 should have been the Godfather 2 of the Superman films, and it became something different and a little too jokey. And again, there's a reason why film fans still refer to Superman the movie and not to Superman 2 as much. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. And I just recently talked to a few people that weren't even aware that there is a director's cut of Superman 2.
The Donner cut, yeah.
And I do like it. Don't get me wrong, but some of the effects are really clunky in it.
Yeah. Well, they weren't given that much money to do it.
No, they had no money. But on top of that,
HBO fix that.
Well, they reused something, and I wish they hadn't. I wish that he had found a better way to end it than showing the spinning around the Earth thing.
Yeah, but no. Here's the thing with that, though. That was actually the original ending in the script.
I know that, and they changed it after he was let go, and they put it at the end of the first movie.
No. Donner did that. What had happened was, when they had started production, it was Richard Donner and Tom Mankiewicz. And Tom was brought in to work on the script and convert it from this huge Yellow Pages size script that had originally been put together by the guy who did the Godfather. And Mankiewicz was the one that basically came up with the idea of taking that whole thing and just creating 2 movies out of it. But in actuality, it was really just one story. All they did was just half it. And when they started production, they couldn't figure out how to end the first movie. they started production on Superman the movie without an ending. And they got to a point in the middle of production where you really needed to start putting together everything for the ending of that movie. And this is why they were simultaneously filming both Superman and Superman 2 at the same time. And it became Dick Donner explains that it wasn't possible to continue to keep delaying. They couldn't try to find an ending for the first movie. So they went ahead and used the ending of the entire story as the ending to the first movie. And I keep telling people, given those circumstances, how would you have ended the first movie without having him? Because the turning back the world was really meant to be the end of the whole story, because it's not two individual movies, it's one film. That's what they really are. The Richard Lester version was rewritten to make it two separate kind of stories, when in actuality it's actually one story. So to end the whole thing, you're turning back the world. So how would you have ended the first movie?
Yeah, but what about Superman 2?
That's what I'm talking about. The original ending. Oh.
Amateur.
You can just get saran wrap to throw from your S, and that'll fix it all.
Yeah,
so dumb.
I never understood doing all the wacky, weird. I never understood the whole thing about teleportation.
Yeah.
Because that makes no sense. It's like, if Kryptons could teleport, why does Superman bother to fly?
Right.
Yeah. Just zap from place to place.
Yeah.
So, well, Keith, we've talked, Gary and I have talked about a movie that we really think is on that list of movies that are underappreciated, people don't remember. What's one you've got?
You know what? There is one, but it's not so much that it's not remembered, it's sort of remembered.
Right. It's
been remade into a television series, but I really like the original film, which is Michael Crichton's 1972 film, Westworld.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
There are a lot of homages to Westworld and Future World in the Westworld HBO series. And in fact, I will say this, whoever their set designers are, at least during the first season, kudos to them, because they designed a lot of stuff that was very reminiscent of the complex that Westworld and Future World are housed in both those movies.
Right.
And that was an amazing, that first season was incredible. And but the original movie starring Richard Benjamin and James Brolin and Yul Brynner.
Because Crichton did this right on the heels of making his Andromeda Strain film.
Yeah.
And which I'm very, very fond of. I love that original film. Scared the bejesus out of me as a kid.
Oh God, Crichton was a freaking master. I will say this though, and I know I'll probably get some blowback from it, but my thing was he ended up reusing that whole idea again.
Right.
The Westworld, Future World idea was reused again years later for another book. And it became a movie that made a lot of money. And that was Jurassic Park.
Right.
Jurassic Park is nothing more than just a reorganized version.
It is completely. It completely is, and I made fun of it at the time.
Yeah.
This is just a biological version of Westworld where they're dinosaurs instead of robots.
Yeah, instead of humanoids.
It is, but I love dinosaurs, so I'm all in favor. So.
Oh yeah, wow.
I'm like, dude, yeah, it's the same premise, but it's sold a little different, and I appreciate that. Funny thing is, Keith, I was watching the original Westworld 2 days ago.
Wow.
My television has some extra digital stations. It's a Samsung, so it has Samsung stations. One of the stations it had was playing Westworld, and I got sucked into it. And I forgot how good this is. I knew it was good.
Yeah.
How good it was, because I hadn't seen it probably in 30 years. So.
Well, you also have to remember this is at a time with science fiction in film and television, but mainly in film, where they knew they didn't have the money to do extravagant stuff. So a majority of your storytelling, a majority of your wow had to be told through the script.
Right.
Because if you're, for them, you can have effects of any amount of money. But if your story and your script weren't solid, you weren't going anywhere. And that was one of the things with, 1972 is when this came out. So the biggest thing in Hollywood as far as science fiction and stuff, that's Planet of the Apes.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And that was about to crash and burn in a few years. And it was the crashing and burning of that franchise. That's what made George Lucas wealthy. Because when he went to negotiate Star Wars with Fox, that's the reason why he was able to get all of the merchandising money.
Fox got taken to the cleaners over merchandising.
Yeah, the merchandising from all of the Planet of the Apes stuff was oh man, they got taken to not unlike Disney right now with Star Wars. They're getting taken to the cleaners with Star Wars right now. I mean, that for anybody that doesn't get why this is a problem, why Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker are problems, the merchandising is killing Disney right now because nobody's buying anything. Same thing with Star Trek. Nobody's buying anything. And merchandising is really where you do the money that you make from merchandising allows your idea and your property to live beyond the initial release of any film or television show. You have to have a longer life. That's your long-term plan. When you mess with that money, you are messing with the ability and the life of your property. And in the case of Star Wars and in the case of Star Trek, both have been damaged greatly in their merchandising. And a lot of the merchandising businesses, companies that are used to doing business with both those properties are to the point where they're done with them, especially where Star Trek is concerned. You do not have a lot of the merchandising that you see for the new Star Trek stuff are companies or small companies that do work that CBS is ordering stuff through. And it's the same thing for, Star Wars. They have a lot of these major companies that are just mad at them. So, but let's get back on to the topic of the movies. But yeah, Westworld, love it. Great movie if you've never seen it. 13th Warrior is another good one. Another good one.
I like that film.
Yeah.
Underrated.
So I've got I have one from Ace. She ended up having to leave because of a family emergency. She won't be back with us. Some stuff's going on, but nothing horrible, just something that has to be taken care of. But she mentioned, I know,
a wild bear.
Something like that, exactly. Well,
one of those honey badgers. Those things freak me out. Mandrills too. And really, really, people with really stubby hands, they freak me out. Like little tiny fingers. I'm like, don't touch me. What are we talking about?
The keyboard elves.
Well, let's get to your next one.
So let me give you AJ's, because AJ did give me her number one on her list.
Okay, let's hear hers.
Yeah. It says noise is off. I think his nose is.
Oh no, it's noise.
No, noise is off.
Yeah,
it's
a comedy.
Reeves and Michael Caine.
Yep.
It's a comedy. It was a play, and they made a movie about the play, and it's a good film.
Carol Burnett, Christopher Reeve, Michael Caine, Leslie Ann Down.
Leslie Ann Down. Woo!
I know, right? Right?
Where was this movie from? Because I'm not familiar with it, but I may have seen it and just don't know the
This
name.
is 1988.
Let me pull up a screen, and I'll look it up real quick.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what Google's for, kids.
Movie, and you can just.
We couldn't do this back in our day.
That's right.
There you go. Pull up my screen.
Oh.
And this is Noises Off. Here's the one of the posters for the DVD release right there.
Okay.
And
Christopher Lloyd?
Comedy. Yeah, John Ritter.
Yeah, John Ritter.
Okay.
And it's done on a stage. It's a stage set.
I have seen this. I didn't know what it was called. I have definitely seen this. Okay.
Okay.
It's funny. Yes, I agree.
All right, you can pull it down.
That's
I just
awesome.
wanted to. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Really good. Why are we not on video, Keith? Are you eating?
Am I eating? Maybe. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
I just thought Keith was animated now. I didn't know.
Oh, I heard
tried
that
to
too.
He's trying to keep COVID distancing by making himself animated. So,
Well, you know.
See, now I'm my avatar too.
Aha!
all I can do is just be animated. So,
We'll teach you how to do that later. We'll teach you how to do this.
I like that, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we have a new video for our campaign because we need to get some new equipment for Keith and for me. I need better earbuds.
Right.
I don't like this having a cord because we're getting some big names on the show, and it's like I'm like I because we just need to be a little more professional when we're doing our show now.
Yeah, we're gonna both get bionics implanted, so we'll be $6 million dudes.
So yeah, it's like every once in a while you'll just hear this sound while we're talking.
Oh, more old guy stuff for you younger people. $6 Million Man was this great show.
It was an awesome show. Are you kidding me? So
I bought it. I have the entire series. I love that. I'm so excited. I got to be honest. I'm not the biggest Mark Wahlberg fan. I am not. I don't think that guy could act his way out of a paper bag. But I'm excited that because he really, really loved the original show. So him doing the new movie, The $6 Billion Man, right. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too.
If they do it right, they have to do it right. They can't try to make it a comedy or anything else.
Yeah, because they had Jim Carrey attached to it, and I was like, I will never go see that movie.
Out of the three of us, who here has actually read Martin Kanan's book, Cyborg?
I have not.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
I have too. So that makes two out of it. You've never read that?
That surprised me, Larry. I figured you would be that kind of nerd.
Well, here's the thing, guys. I was dyslexic, or I still am dyslexic, but I've learned to deal with it. So reading is not my strongest suit. So when all my friends were reading really cool books like that, I was trying, but I wasn't getting very far because of my dyslexia and my ADD. So I would get distracted by things. It would take me a long time to read a book because of that. So
you know what, dude?
It's the sort of thing I would enjoy reading, and I need to get back and try to read it.
There was a coloring book that came out in the late 70s that I was so fond of because it would like reference some of these great sci-fi stories that were movies or shows, but the artwork in the coloring book were based off of the literature, not the movies or the shows.
Nice.
And they had Cyborg in there.
Right.
They had Monkey Planet by Pierre Boulle. They had Brave New World. And in fact, I just found, oh my gosh, I just found this view image. How do you view image? View.
Did it have the Sandman from Logan's Run?
I just found one of the illustrations.
Oh, yeah.
I love this. Where's it at?
Add that to the stream here for us.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact. This is one of the illustrations from it. The Fly.
Uh-huh.
But there was this one too from Brave New World.
Wow.
And I wonder if there's any more over here. I'm looking for them.
That's really cool.
I remember coloring them. I cut them out of the coloring book. It was a big Life magazine size coloring book. It was a little bigger.
Wow.
It was 11 by 17, and I would cut them out after I color them, post them on my wall. And I'm hoping there's another one in here because they had a Cyborg that became $6 Million Man. And I'm not seeing it anymore. Darn it. But this was in there. This was one of the illustrations. And
that's awesome.
I loved that. I mean, I was diehard sci-fi nerd as a kid. So So we can get off the screen now. So I'm not going to keep looking while we're talking. It's a waste of time. But I want to say that that's a coloring book I like to find.
That would be a really cool coloring book. For those people that don't know that are watching with us, Gerry and Keith are from Popculture Minefield. You'll see the tag up here. Make sure to check them out. We always do talk about these guys. We love you guys.
This is our address on Twitter.
Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. So
it's at Popculture Minefield, because Twitter doesn't allow for the word culture. They that's the most letters I'm allowed.
Wow, that's cool. So
thank you, Graham Nolan, for naming us this. But,
so, and for those that are tuning in late, Ace isn't with us right now. Ace had a family emergency, so she's not with us. But we do have two great guest stars from Popculture Minefield with Keith and Gerry, so we do appreciate you guys. All right, so Gerry, give me another movie that you think is underrated or people don't recognize, or maybe nobody knows but you.
Well, I think people remember it. It's because Castle Freak was this weird, obscure Stuart Gordon film that came out around 1990 to 93. And it may have come out a little later than that. Now I think it might be 97. But they just remade it, and I'm just telling you, I'm not going to bother watching the new film. I'm going to go back. If I'm going to watch that, I want to watch the one that Stuart Gordon directed and Jeffrey Combs starred in. Because I'll watch anything with Jeffrey Combs in it.
So tell us a little bit about it. What was going on with this movie?
Family inherits a castle, and with it comes this monstrosity that is raining terror on the family as well as the local township, and hence the name Castle Freak. And the family have to survive and discover what this creature is and how to end the terror. And that's not cool. Because that's all I remember. I haven't seen it since 97. I think 97 was the last time I watched it. And then, of course, anything by Stuart Gordon is going to be an obscure film. Even though that guy wrote on some big name films, the stuff that he did of his own, obscure.
All right. That's a good answer. Keith, how about you? What else do you got for us there, buddy?
There's one that
he's eating.
I'm thinking of that I think, I don't know, it's hit or miss. And it's Life Force.
Yeah, Life Force, yes.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's a great film.
It is.
But it tanked. It flopped in the theater.
Oh, yeah, but I mean...
See Patrick Stewart kiss the star?
It is a movie that was a joint production between the BBC, mainly a lot of British filmmakers, and America. And it starred Steve Railsback. This was only the second movie I ever remember seeing Patrick Stewart in. The first, prior to that, was Excalibur.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew him from that, but I also knew him from I, Claudius, the miniseries on PBS.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're cultured like that. But
thank you, my friend.
I think this is also this was just before Dune came out. So this is the movie between.
It was 1985. Toby Hooper's the director.
Oh, okay. So this is after Dune, because Dune came out in '84.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
and at that point, Patrick Stewart was totally on my radar.
Yeah, he was. Well, look, this movie is really simple. Space vampires.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say.
And
Space vampires.
And the producer says, "Are we gonna have some sex in there?" Oh, we're gonna have sex.
Yes, space vampires. Excellent.
I gave her a good spanking.
You know, the thing about that movie is that while the movie didn't do so well at the American box office, really the worldwide box office, it is an old-fashioned science fiction, end of the world type tale.
Because I caught this when I watched it. What classic sci-fi film does it remind you of?
Any of the Quatermass ones.
That's the one. Quatermass in the Pit is what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
The British Hammer production.
Yeah.
Because when I saw it, I'm like, what? I'm getting goosebumps saying this. You can tell I'm excited by this. I'm serious. I get excited when I talk about things like this. You could feel the connection between that Hammer film and Life Force.
Hey kids, Quatermass. Okay, understand that without Quatermass, you wouldn't have the Fantastic Four. You wouldn't have TV shows like Fringe. You wouldn't have. I mean, Quatermass to me is one of the unsung originators of a certain style of film and television that became very popular in the 70s and 80s. And Quatermass, I mean, we're talking, what, 1950s?
Hey, Larry, show the screen. Show my screen.
Oh, yep.
And in particular, this film, and that character, Quatermass, inspired Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's what I was. Right. Thank you for saying that. The Quatermass is the inspiration for Doctor Who.
This was the American release. Over in England, it was known as Quatermass and the Pit, like this poster. But when Hammer released it, and I think they released it through Universal because they had a contract with Universal at the time. 5 Million Years to Earth was the American release, and it scared the poop out of me as a kid. And I love that film. These really freaky looking grasshopper aliens. They're like locusts. And it was the first time we ever, got this demonic locust type of alien used in a film.
Yeah.
So, but
and again, the American television series Fringe might as well just be called American Quatermass. If you've ever seen Fringe, that's Quatermass.
Right.
Yeah.
That show is completely Quatermass.
Yeah, I've only seen one episode, and I caught that with definitely inspired by Quatermass. And because Quatermass was all the way back into the late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah.
Like a radio character.
Yep.
And then eventually a TV show. And the first films that came out in the mid with Brian Dunleavy.
Yep.
Playing Quatermass in 2 films. And
the character of Reed Richards is based on Quatermass.
Yeah.
In the Fantastic Four comics. In fact, Fantastic Four might as well be a Quatermass comic book. So,
if only Stan Lee wanted to share the credit.
Oh.
Sorry. Pinky out. I'm
not throw stones at a dead man.
No, I love Stan Lee. So. I love Stan Lee.
Yeah.
And I defend him to the hilt, but I'm just making a joke that
I know you are, Gary. I'm just joking.
I love that man. That's the kind of influential sci-fi horror that Hammer helped bring to America, but Hammer couldn't survive. That was really the end of it for them. But they're trying to come back, but boy, they're hit and miss with their films lately.
I think a lot of people, especially people here in America, if you are not familiar with Hammer, you should be. I mean, if you're looking for something different, if you want to watch horror movies and you just don't know what to watch, you might as well just go ahead and go down that rabbit hole and become very familiar with the Hammer horror films. Because to me, if you grew up in the 70s, you became very familiar with a lot of Hammer horror, especially Christopher Lee as Dracula.
Right.
And of course, his partner in crime, Peter Cushing, appeared in many of the films as Van Helsing.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Or as like the Frankenstein movie that they made together, Christopher played the monster and Peter played Dr. Frankenstein.
Yep. Well, we're just old.
I just like to talk about movies. And then fall asleep. Like my stepdad used to do. We'd be sitting there talking about Shakespeare's 1/30th sonnet. And I'm like talking to him. Then I just look over and he's like in his chair. And I'm like, how long has he been asleep? I just kept talking with him.
And you've now just seen Gary's advanced sneak preview of season 2 of Picard. And sorry.
It's just going to be, in order to get fans back, we're just going to see a lot of make it so, And
there you go. All right, we've got a few comments, guys, so let's throw these up here.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Long time.
James Town. James
Wood. That's a really good movie.
Yeah. Great film.
Yeah, Dixon's a really good pick. I like that. That's a very solid pick there.
Yeah.
Of a movie that people often forget about. So on my list, I threw in one you guys know. So as my number 2, and a lot of fans know, but it's still a fringe group that people know. I'll tell you the name, but I'm actually going to give you another one afterwards. So I went with They Live as my number 2 on my list because talking to people that aren't big sci-fi junkies have no idea what this movie is. With They Live, and so
what
They Live, you need to check that out because
I know.
So it really surprised me when I've talked to people. But let me tell you another one on the list. Maybe I know you guys have seen it, but a little less known than They Live is Bubba Hotep. Bruce Campbell.
Oh,
yeah.
I was doing art for the documentary about that filmmaker.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't have time to finish it, but I was really excited because I'm a big fan of the writer's work and that film.
For those that don't know, Bubba Hotep is basically a story of an Egyptian mummy that comes back to life, like all Egyptian cursed mummies do for whatever reason, and he's haunting a nursing home in East Texas, where you have Bruce Campbell playing Elvis Presley, who has, pretended to be dead, and he's living in this nursing home. And then you have, who was it? I've got it listed here. You've got O.C. Davis playing JFK because the conspiracy. He tells it that they had him. Assassination was a ploy. And they made him dark-skinned and then put him away. So, a great movie. Such a fun kind of.
I know.
Two old guys in a nursing home buddy movie.
Yeah, it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but with Elvis instead of a teenage girl. And it's a mummy that sucks the life force out of people. And doing it at a nursing home, basically nobody would ever suspect.
Right.
Which is genius.
It is.
And I mean, my God, the humor in there. Is so, I mean, him talking about his privates all the time throughout the film.
The boil.
The boil. I don't even say it. The boil on the end of his fella. You got to drain it there, nurse. Oh, thank you very much.
Bruce Campbell is one of my favorite actors. I love Bruce Campbell to death.
Oh, and how about that news I posted today or earlier? Did you see that? That Bruce Campbell Jr.
Is that a go?
No, it was last night I posted it. Yeah, it's happening. It's for
Oh
real.
my gosh! I
Yeah,
know
Susan Layton, who Keith and I love dearly. She's at 1420 Elm. Susan. She used to be on our show, and she just released the news that it's really happening. Bruce is making an updated revisit of a classic character, Briscoe Kenny Jr. I love it.
That is one of my most underrated shows from the 90s.
Another one I bought. I own those.
Yeah.
And the music. Don't forget the music.
Yep.
The music was great. The whole steampunk and sci-fi and
Wild Wild
It
West.
was exactly Wild Wild West.
It was Wild Wild West, yeah.
It was just like
Minus the tight pants.
This is Bruce Campbell's version of Wild Wild West, and I love that. I'm a big fan. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm hoping that that's going to keep going. But going back, Bubba Hotep, there was supposed to be a sequel to it. It's really sad what ended up happening. Because Bruce was attached to it, and then it just they couldn't get any funding.
Right.
And they would try new angles, and then it hit one point where Bruce was like, I'm not going to be a part of this, and then he might be back, and then it's just I don't think it'll ever happen. It's just one of those miracle films. It's a miracle it ever happened. I love that film.
I'm with you. Bubba Hotep is fantastic. It's so much fun. If you've not seen it, if you like Bruce Campbell, or if you like mummy movies, this is a movie you have to see. It has to be.
Yeah, the Black John F. Kennedy. Come on.
Exactly, which is awesome. He's probably my favorite character in the whole movie. JFK, Ozzie Davis. He's fantastic in that role. So, all right, let me throw up another comment we've got here, guys, and then we're probably going to close out the show for today.
I got one more before we go.
Okay, that'd be great. We can do that.
Unhappy businessman finds a new sense of purpose after he tasked with helping a quartet of ghosts fulfill their last wishes before moving on to their afterlife.
Oh, there we go.
Heart and Souls. That was a good film. I remember that. Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. I don't remember that one, but that sounds really interesting. I would definitely watch that. So.
Yeah. It's a good one. Gloin de Hobbit. Are you Hebrew? Gloin, how are you doing? Good for you, you Meshuggah.
Great. Now we've offended all of our Jewish viewers. Thanks.
I'm Jewish.
I'm equal opportunity offender. I know you are.
I'm Irish Catholic, and I found out that I do have Jewish heritage, and all my siblings are Jewish. Yeah, I'm figure that one out. 6 Jewish siblings and 1 Roman Irish Catholic. For real, that's a true story. Okay, pop up my screen, and you'll see what mine is.
All right.
And this is my last one. Read that if you can. Wolf and Nikki, he's an interstellar adventurer. She's a young rebel. Together they will set out on a mission to rescue 3 stranded women from a planet no one has warned them about because no one has ever returned. And
I know.
We slowly go down.
Yeah.
Yes. Space Hunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone.
And I saw the theater in 3D.
There you go.
And I love that movie. My buddy's punk band got their name from the Michael Ironside character. Their band was called the Overdogs.
Nice.
And I'm a big fan of that film.
That's a really good one. I like that.
And most people don't remember it. That one is Space Pirates, were 2 of my favorite films from that same period.
You mean Ice Pirates?
Ice Pirates, that's right. I got space herpes.
Ice Pirates is so funny. I love Ice Pirates. It reminds. Is it done by the same people that did? Forget it. You have something in your head, then you lose it. That's what happens when you get to a certain age. So.
Well, what are you thinking?
What? Okay, the movie Time Bandits. That's what I'm thinking.
No, Time Bandits produced by George Harrison.
It has that feel to it that cinematically and kind of the humor in it is very much similar. So
very tongue-in-cheek. Very tongue-in-cheek.
But also the way the shots are done is very similar. in a lot of aspects. So, but yeah, those are all good movies. So
yeah, George Harrison
plus
produced the film, and the director was I just forgot his name from Monty Python.
well, I mean, that's the thing. Handmade Films was the name of the production company, and that's the production company that was formed between George Harrison and Monty Python.
Yep.
And so they did Time Bandits.
They also did Jabberwocky.
Oh yeah, they did Jabberwocky also. But Time Bandits is another one of those movies that if you've never seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it because it is worth your time.
Not to mention best theme song ever.
Oh God.
Orion.
Oh man. You know, that's one of those movies that I remember when it came out. I saw it in the theater and I was still blown away. It's one of those movies that you just walk out of there going, what did I just see? You know?
Right. Oh, it had a massive impact on me too.
Oh, plus Sean Connery. Who wouldn't want Sean Connery as a stepdad? Or as a dad, really?
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Right. Exactly. I'm with you guys. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining. Thanks for.
I'm glad we
came on.
I'm sorry about your partner in crime having to drop out. I hope everything's okay.
Yeah.
I think everything's going to be okay. It's just a matter of, but I do appreciate that. So you guys actually helped save the show because me doing this alone, people would be sleeping.
Well, we were supposed to record tonight, and our friend that was going to be on wasn't able to. So it was like, yeah, we're already set up. Let's go.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, guys. You guys are always welcome. If you guys haven't checked out, for those of you watching, have not checked out Keith and Gerry, who we've got right here with us, hop on over to Popculture Minefield on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, we do interviews with big celebrities, small celebrities. We have Mikey Sutton tied into our show for all of those big scoops. So if you want to get a good scoop, it's either you watch Midnight's Edge, Lords of the Long Box, Pete's Basement, or us. All four of us are tied in with Mikey Sutton. And it's really good. And, you know, we're old guys talking about old stuff. Doing fun. And definitely not G-rated. If you're under the age of 13, do not come to our channel. We don't want you to watch our show. I don't like kids. I like my kids and my girlfriend's kids. All the other kids, not such a big fan.
Yeah, we always tell people that you guys aren't as PG as we are. We try to keep it PG-13.
In fact, that was one of the first questions yesterday when we had Rob Laurie from the movie The Outpost. Big, huge movie, and he agreed to be on our show. We're like, thanks. He came on the show, and he asked early on, he goes, am I allowed to drop an F-bomb, or will we have to bleep that? Now, we don't, and I said it very colorfully. I said the F word. We don't effing care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't want kids on our show. And he just started laughing. And then, like I told you later, he said, this is the weirdest interview I've ever been in.
So we do appreciate you guys. We also have other friends to check out, guys. So do check these guys out. These guys are awesome. And if you're old enough, or you think you're old enough, or you've heard those words before, these two guys have the most information I've ever ran into. And putting them together is just fantastic. The connections they have for the people. Ace and I like to talk, but these guys here, they know stuff.
We know things. We know things.
You know, you drink and you know things. There you go.
He tests me. He tests me.
That's my go-to phrase now. If I talk about somebody that annoys me, he tests me. That's of course
also
Star Trek reference.
You guys can check out.
Yes.
Your informants are great. Check those guys out.
And
I think
Keith
they're
and I still want to do a group show where all of us get on together.
I think that would be amazing.
If you didn't get the update, notice we're allowed up to 10 people now.
I did get that. I think that would be fantastic. We need to get a big group. But by the way, do either one of you guys play D&D? We're looking to have a group of us play D&D live.
We're getting along, and then you ask that question. I'm going to tell you something real quick. My friends I grew up with played D&D. I went and played with them, and I would get myself killed early just so I could just watch them play because I hate playing the game. If it's not a first-person shooter game, I'm not interested.
I understand. Well, and you don't have to come, or you can just come to watch.
No,
Gerry.
I like to watch.
Right.
That sounded really sick. I like to watch. What are we talking about?
Well, we can have you actually be the person who breaks the third wall there. You could just talk
Commentary
about.
Yeah, do Jackie Stewart reporting from a race, but instead about a D&D game. He just went there in the bin and threw Magic Ball Power 4. Oh, he's dead. He's a goner.
I should have rolled a 2.
You should have rolled a 2. Once again, it shows how old we are that we know who Jackie Stewart is.
You got to use the Google, kids. Use that. Jackie Stewart. You'll learn a lot.
Also, check out Scallywag Productions.
Scallywag.
He's a good friend.
So, great guy, and funny stuff he does over there with his show. Check him out, guys. And that's all we've got for today. Again, thank you, Keith. Thank you, Gerry. So appreciate you guys coming on the show. Next week, I think we've got Nerd Informants on the show. So
really
fun, and we're going to get a time for us all to get together because we could cause all sorts of havoc this way.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun to just get us all in one room and just like talk over one another. What?
Huh?
And we do the Brady Bunch thing.
Exactly. We can talk about how the Civil War was neither civil war nor a war, right?
Yeah, it's like I always talk in history, and it's like, no, this Civil War was actually a Revolutionary War, and the Revolutionary War was actually a Civil War. And people go, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. One was, because you know what I'm talking about, Larry. There's actually a difference, and it always surprises me that we call that the first war for our independence the Revolutionary War, when actually it was a Civil War. And the Civil War was actually a Revolutionary War, where they're trying to pull apart. And
right.
we were trying to overthrow another government. The Civil War was not. The South was wanting to separate from us.
Right.
Whereas we were trying to overthrow the British government here in the colonies.
Right.
And get them the hell out.
Right.
Boxers versus briefs.
Boxers versus briefs.
I prefer the boxer briefs, so I do the best of best.
Yeah. Shirts versus naked tops. Oh, don't let the British be the naked tops. Get an American. It's so much better. But this is the 1700s. Oh, maybe not so good. Never mind. No, everybody wears tops. And how are they supposed to tell the difference? I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, thanks for having me.
All right. Hey, my pleasure, guys. So glad you guys came on. For those of you out there watching, stay geeky, and we'll see you next week. Bye. And if I get my mouth to work.